Hello, and welcome to Relatively Ordinary. I'm Karl.
I'm Betsy.
Hi, Betsy.
How's it hanging?
It's hanging great.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like you in blue. You look nice.
Oh, thank you.
It matches your
eyes. I did it for you.
Yeah, but now you're going on 3 days straight. Is that still for me?
No, this is maybe. I did wear this briefly yesterday.
Okay,
and then
48
I wore it all
hours.
day today. So
Okay, 48
yeah,
hours.
and it's also a pullover, so it is totally appropriate to wear.
Okay.
2 days in a row.
Don't worry, I'm just
Get
judging.
off my back, Judgy McJudgerson.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
I work from home.
I do like that color though.
Well, thank you. Yeah. How's life? How's Betsy?
Pretty good. Work has settled down a little bit, and we just got a much anticipated luxury, a hot tub.
Yes, indeed.
Something probably something I've wanted since moving to Maine, because it's cold AF here in the winter, at least by my standards. And so I've been scrimping and saving, setting money aside in my slush fund, and it's come to fruition.
Yeah. Well, this is, yeah. I mean, you've been saving for this for a while.
Yeah, years.
And yeah.
And you
should be proud of it.
You did a lot of the dirty work too to make sure the electrician came.
Yeah, I did all of the project management to coordinate all of the contractors and everything else that were needed.
And well, you work from home. So while I'm commuting an hour and a half each day,
I would be a good personal shopper husband if you ever want to be a sugar mama.
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Probably won't happen anytime soon.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, and then you did all the chemical setup, the functionality. You have that engineering brain, so that by default ends up being you. But I'm very excited. We haven't used it yet. The kids are in it as we speak.
As soon as we're done recording, we're going straight to the hot tub.
But at least they're quiet and, old enough to take care of things, I hope.
Yeah.
And not ruin it.
We got some snowfall.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
here
that was
at home,
exciting.
but up in the mountains, it's been snowing. So
our first snow.
We got to experience some snow this weekend.
That was super cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when I don't mind it. If that was in April, I'd be like,
yep. But April's a little too late. At least keep it in the mountains in April.
Yeah, but that's the type of snow you would get in April.
Yeah.
Like slushy, and when you're just like so done with it, especially following the 60-degree sunny day we had, or it was high 50s, which felt kind of balmy.
Shorts weather on Saturday. It's snow on Sunday.
It was great. Fabulous.
Love it.
Yeah, that was exciting. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. All right, so I've got a question for you.
All right.
You ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so I want you to tell me one of your role models, or who is a role model, someone you look up to, and why. It's okay if you choose me.
Well,
I'm a lot of people's role model.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I don't know if I mean, you're a role model, but for me, I'm going to look for someone who's either in my profession or maybe someone who, is a male, a father.
You don't know what you're missing.
So.
Oh, did I stump you?
Well, I mean, there's. I'm going to omit. Inevitably, I'm going to omit someone important, no matter how I answer this question.
Well, you can circle back. How about I'll ask you at the end too?
No, I will. I'll choose my dad.
Oh, yeah. Cliche,
yeah,
but
it's cliche. Yeah, but
I'll be so happy. It's because he's an amazing golfer, right? And he gets all the babes. That's what he tells me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of that. But I think my dad is just he's a hard worker. Always been a hard worker.
That's true.
He is very principled. He's very honest. He believes in
sometimes too principled.
Yeah, sometimes too principled, and also principles sort of elude him when he gets on the golf course. But overall, like he is a man of principle. He sticks to his guns, and he has, he has a certain worldview that he will go down with the ship for. And sometimes that can be some stubborn pride, but at the end of the day,
most of his morals are well aligned, though.
Yeah, no, he's very, he's a very morally upstanding person, and I think that if most people had that level of honesty and conviction and principle and hard work, we would have a much better, more just and functional society.
That's true. Yeah.
So
no, I agree with that. Now, is your dad a listener yet?
A listener of this podcast?
Yes.
No.
Okay, we got to make him a listener so he puts you in the will.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's a listener, but I don't think so. I
Okay.
don't think so.
Okay. Yet.
Yeah. I mean, pretty sure I'm in the will, but that's a private conversation.
Oh, I gotta have the jokes, right?
Yeah.
Gotta have the jokes.
Yeah. So who's your role model?
Well, to stick with the cliche, I'm gonna say my mom. Yeah.
Love you, Bonnie.
Yep, she's a great woman. Also hardworking. Also sticks to her convictions, but is someone who you can rationalize with, who is willing to listen to other opinions, and trustworthy, someone you can depend on. She's a pretty good woman, and she raised me.
That's
my
great.
sisters. We're pretty well balanced people. We're pretty relatively ordinary.
Yeah.
And that's all you can expect in
Well,
life.
it'll be a great segue to our main topic for today.
Okay.
So,
Lay it on me.
But before we get there,
our topic's role models. Wow.
No, before we get to the main topic,
Okay.
I'm going to share some stats
Okay.
about our early episodes, run of the show.
Oh, I thought you were going to share stats for the voting from today about the government shutdown.
No, I don't have those stats, and that's boring.
Okay.
So first of all, we have some listeners.
Yep.
Ones of listeners.
Yes.
So many out there. So if you're out there listening, thank you for being
all three of you.
For being one of the ones. That's awesome.
It makes it sound much more special. You're an elite crowd.
Exactly. When we have tens of listeners, we can look back and say
the OGs.
You were in the original crowd. So we're not quite ready to give Joe Rogan a run for his money yet. Not quite yet, but we'll get there. But one thing that's interesting pulling up some of these metrics is the amount of time, the ratio of time that you and I talk. And
you think I'm a hog.
Well, no, because I actually looked this up because you were accusing me of talking too much.
Sometimes you do ramble.
And in fact, as the stats indicate, you do more of the talking than I do. But it is quite equitable.
Okay.
51% to 49%.
Nice.
So we have spoken 68,000 words.
Wow.
In our episode so far.
That's a lot of hot air.
And 34,600 of them were yours.
Okay.
33,400 of them were mine. So
I just have a lot of important things to say.
Yeah, I mean.
But go us for sharing.
Yeah, pretty.
Boom.
And this is what Betsy would consider to be a perfectly equal share.
Yes.
Where we are split down the middle, only she gets slightly more.
Yes.
So
it's like the slightly bigger piece of pie, a little more room on the bed.
Yes.
Extra time in the shower. I just need a little bit more.
Yep.
Okay.
And so that'll bring us.
You already get a lot in the world.
That'll bring us to the main question of the day.
Okay.
Great, smooth segue to my question for you. What does it mean to be a woman in today's society?
Okay. What does it mean? So we're
being equal, but having slightly more.
Yeah, I hope. Except it's the reverse most of the time. So this is to kind of juxtapose my topic proposed to you.
Indeed.
Yeah.
This is basically the same episode we did in reverse because it's a Monday night and I'm lazy.
Truth. I can get behind that. All right. What does it mean to be a woman? Well, I mean, it's biased to my experience, but I'm just going to own that.
I mean, it would be weird if you asked me that question.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious your opinion on what you think it means to be a woman. I think it means that there is a lot of potential. I think it means there's still work to be done on promoting equality. I think it means breaking stereotypes, but also embracing them, trying to have it all when you know you can't, being okay with your emotions and knowing that you're strong despite them, or maybe in spite of them. And
because of them?
Because of them, yes. Did I say that wrong?
You did.
Okay.
Despite and in spite are kind of the same thing. I knew where you were going with it.
You know where I was going with it. I think that it also means that there's still work to be done, but it's pretty nice. I wouldn't want anything different.
Okay, yeah. So what do you, when you say, well, the first thing you said, I don't remember the words you chose, but I liked it. But I think you said something about there being a lot of potential and still work to be done. So what does that mean?
I think it means that we've hit some good strides. I mean, I think about, I mentioned my mom already as a role model. There's been a tremendous shift in our support and access to higher education, to different career fields, to more equitable pay, although there's still pay gaps, for opportunities, not only in the workforce, but in how we're, I guess the pride we can have if we choose to stay home and raise a family or balance it both. Yes, I think there's a lot that has happened, and I think there's more potential, right? I think there are some biases, maybe they're even built-in expectations of what you can and cannot do, or how you perceive yourself because you are female, right? These things that are just baked into our culture, and so to sort of go against that grain takes a little extra work, but I think that there's more acceptance, especially in the United States, and for someone like myself who has a lot of power and privilege otherwise, that's like, no, well, who's gonna stop me? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pursue this. I'm gonna accept the challenge, and not everyone's afforded that, but I think that's where the potential lies. And we see more women in STEM. We see, a lot more of the supports from the system to be able to work and be a caregiver and, try to juggle many things. And, I think at least in our dynamic, we have a really good balance that works for us. And that acceptance and support is important. So, yeah.
There's actually a, because we talked recently about the decision to start a family.
Yep.
And the impact of, changing dynamics and things like that. And so the latest issue of The Economist is centered around, there's a bunch of articles centered around how traditional romantic relationships are sort of like becoming less common, less popular than they have been in the past. And one of the reasons attributed to that is because women are, in more control of a career and having, more sort of financial independence and things like that, which I think is, is a good thing. And one of the things they talk about, like sort of tongue in cheek a little bit, but also in a very real way, very true way, is that like the share of parenting and managing a household and things like that have been the elements of it that have been traditionally considered women's work or women's role,
or skewed towards women being responsible
need to be more balanced in this more sort of modern type of relationship, which I think echoes how our household works. I mean, I think, we still have fairly traditional breakdown of things that we end up being responsible for, in terms
Again, engineering brain.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm just much more precise when it comes to folding laundry, although I will not fold your laundry.
The garage is my domain and the laundry room is your domain, but I do my own laundry, and
I tidied that garage the other day.
You tidy some garage, and you mow the lawn too. You're a wizard with the lawn tractor. So
thanks.
Yeah,
not the snowblower though. That shit's too heavy.
Yeah, but I want to go back to something you kind of touched on a little bit. So, do you see a challenge or a problem for women when it comes to doing it all, having it all? And what I mean by that is, like, I want to have this great career and I want to have, some level of financial independence, but I also want to have kids and be a mother and embrace, this traditionally female role.
Yeah. If I could circle back to that in a minute, what I would first say is what you had just shared about The Economist and the, how relationships are changing, probably for the demographic that's like early 20s. Is that what we're talking about? Or 20s, 30s?
Well, yeah. I mean, people who are kind of coming into the age of, finding a romantic partner. We're old farts. Like, we don't,
Yes. But interestingly, I would say that people are still seeking intimacy, but not necessarily needing to be committed in the way that they've generationally observed it, right? Because, but
is that centered around breeding, or is it centered around? Because I think, everyone needs intimacy, but if you're not centering it around, I'm going to partner up so I can have a child with you.
I mean, even that, we've seen some changes because there's a lot more government support. A lot of the time that, women were put in a very difficult situation. In my mom's generation, she couldn't have a credit card unless her husband co-signed it. There was no buying a house. You couldn't, get a mortgage. In fact, you were scrutinized when you worked outside of the house and you were married. Like, whoa, why isn't the husband taking care of you? And so there are these very sexist viewpoints.
Well, that reminds me of that story my mom told.
What's that?
When she was a young woman, she was like in her early 20s, and she had a bank card, and she brought it into the bank because she was making a withdrawal, or maybe it wasn't working or something like that. And the teller cut it up in front of her because he didn't believe that it was her account. He assumed that it had to have been her parents' account, or she like stole it or something.
Oh my God.
And he cut up the card right in front of her.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
See, like, that to me is such sexist behavior.
Yeah.
I would not tolerate it.
But it is amazing how quickly that shifted, because nobody would ever do that today.
I would love to bitch that teller out. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
I know we can live that fantasy later.
But yes, experiences like that. So in order to have more autonomy in a way, to have more structure to be able to do the things you were interested in doing and to have safeguards, you had to get married.
Yeah.
And, it was true to a sense, a certain sense for the men. Like, why would the men get married? Well, like, they're not going to probably get laid, but also
they can't cook, they can't clean, they can't do their laundry.
Stuff. Yeah, because the mother never, their mother never taught them because it wasn't an expected role. So there's like so many issues. That's why we're raising our sons differently and we're raising our daughters differently. But, I think what I'm hoping I'm seeing is that there's still intimacy, and maybe even people deciding to have children, but they don't feel like they need to have that typical, cookie cutter family, parents, 2.5 kids, a nice little 3-bedroom house
they're choosing to have fewer
suburbs.
Kids.
They're choosing to have fewer kids. And so I think it makes those domestic roles a little bit more streamlined and a little more nuanced for what works for people. And hey, they should do that, right? We're humans. No, we're, like you said, we're just flesh. Right. And so we're just meat. And so all of these doctrines for how we should live our life, where it's just part of our culture. And if it doesn't feel good and it doesn't fit their vibe and what they want out of life, then why do it? I just think sometimes they're forced by the structure and government support. But swinging back to what you said, so being a woman and having it all, I'd say it's very hard, at least in my experience, that there were challenges as a new mom because you want to be able to keep up with your career. But I mean, I tell you, anyone who is a mother of young children, and you're doing a bulk of the childcare. Now, this could certainly be the dad, but there are some changes, obviously, that happens to a woman physiologically when they give birth and they're nursing and all those hormones. But, outside of that time period, you're giving a lot of energy to the kids and they come first, right? Work is absolutely second. I don't know if you felt like that as a dad, but it's hard to compartmentalize because even when you're at work, you're thinking about all the things for the kids and you're doing what you can, but it's a lot to juggle.
Yeah,
and
I'll just say, I don't want to interrupt you, but I will say that, we talked about this, right? When you become a parent, it changes everything.
Yes.
But it's so much, I think it's fundamentally existential for a woman. Like your body changes, like your body changes. Yeah, your body and brain change as a man only because you're so goddamn sleep deprived that you're like killing brain cells every night. But like it's not as immediate and urgent and existential for a man as it is for a woman. So
and I also think there are little things where I had to be, that first year after giving birth with each kid, I had to be mindful of when I needed a pump and the time that I needed, you did this too, but the juggling act of childcare pickup and drop off and what's for dinner and, making sure the diaper bag is reloaded with all the things. And did I call the nanny for this? And did I pay the childcare for that? So there's all those little things that go on the list. And so your mental energy and capacity for work gets bogged down and it does take, I saw peers who either didn't have kids or, had kids later or, were men who had a female partner having the children. And I saw their careers not skip too much of a beat. Right. And then, getting into roles and having opportunities that just weren't afforded to me because I had to modify my work schedule and take different opportunities because that's what worked for my family. And I have no regrets. But if we're talking about, how it changes opportunities, yeah, it does. And, the gain I get, what I'm appreciative because I have this opportunity through my work and my healthcare role to have this lens and I guess thinking about reflecting on the older demographic, older adults and their experience and what's the most meaningful for them as they age and are thinking about end of life. It's their family, right? And so it's time well spent, but it's not necessarily time that when you're a young mother juggling all the things that gets applauded or praised enough. And you don't see that meaning until down the road. And you're like, okay, I raised this great family. I have all these kids and grandkids and great grandkids and this beautiful home that I've cultivated and this great relationship. But that's where we should be putting our energy and resources and really giving ourselves a pat on the back and supporting each other and saying, okay, this is great. This was worth juggling all the things. Your career is important. Obviously you make a living and you get a lot of positive reinforcement for that, but I think the important work is actually raising the family.
Yeah, I agree. Which is why I think it's an amazing thing, and it's there's no wrong way to raise a family if you are doing so with love and care and attention and doing the best you can to take care of your family. But I think it's especially, when both parents are involved and able to live full lives and, role model, right? We both chose parents as role models. It's such an important thing for our families and our society.
Yeah.
So to get to the community level question, so I'm curious how you cultivate a community of women and how you support each other. And I'm also curious if there's ever like competition or rivalry or, judgment in terms of like someone who, thinks that being a stay-at-home mom is the way to be, or thinks that you should homeschool, or, or thinks that, if you're not going full tilt on your career, you're not doing enough. Like, I'm just kind of curious, like how you see that.
Yeah. I think at my age, very little, as far as the jealousy or comparison, at least that's how I feel. When you're an adolescent, sure, someone's better than you on the sports field, or is wearing a flashy new outfit, or is getting attention from people as the part of the popular crowd. But no, I think that all goes out the window. I think this is true just for how people operate in general, whether you're male, female, and comparing to any gender or non-gender. Once you get to know a person, even if they're amazing at something, and you might, get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm comparing myself to them, and you're feeling envious or jealousy. Once you get to know them, you're like, oh, you're just a cool person. I want to know you. That's sort of how I engage with that. But I would say that there's definitely this female tribe mentality. I've got a lot of different groups of people that I get along with, coworkers, friends from college, local friends, people I know from, sports and the like, and community people, and, other moms. I think that we're just unique people, and it's good to lean on each other. The mom friends when the kids need a ride, or, you're commiserating about your teenager's attitude, or, a big project that the teacher has them all stressing about, and how you're going to manage it as the parent who's getting the crappy end of the stress on that. But I think that, with that, there's just an opportunity to have a good family of female friends. And I really enjoy those opportunities. I think that most of the time when I see someone stand out, like, maybe they've just did this great leadership role, or, clearly doing well for themselves, and are, financially independent, kicking ass with their career, or, stay-at-home mom, and have this great dynamic of being able to, get their kids to school, or, do the extra things like homemade Halloween costumes, or maybe they're an incredible athlete because they still cultivate that side of themselves. I lean in and want to learn more and hear their story, and I'm enamored by it. I don't think, there's a comparison, of course. I'm thinking like, oh, if that were me, what would I think? But I think eventually you get to this point, especially where, we're at in our age, where you just kind of say, okay, lean into who I am, and that's why I chose this path, and take what you can from others and learn their stories and support each other. I think women can be very supportive. I don't think I've ever felt any animosity. And if anything, again, it's like, okay, share that. That's really cool. I'm super proud of you. I'm impressed. How do I get involved? Teach me, and maybe you get a lot out of it by cultivating that relationship. Yeah.
I think women are born collaborators.
Yes.
And yes. I think
sometimes we can get catty and gossipy.
Yeah.
Oh, we still love our gossip.
Yep.
But it's usually not to throw someone else under the bus. It's just like the, did you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but
we're not saints.
Don't be on the wrong side of that gossip. I'll tell you that.
No.
All right. So then, thinking more, in our own household, our family, what do you see as the challenges and opportunities for our daughter and her generation growing up as women in the world?
Well, gosh, going against the grain. I guess they're not going to be settling down so soon. And I don't know. I get this sense that...
I mean, is it even going against the grain, though? Because I think that, like,
not.
you know, now you're having multiple generations of role models of women who, you know, have had the career and, you know, carved their own path in a way that, you know, our grandmothers were not necessarily expected to grow up with.
Our grandmothers were kick-ass humans, right? Like, despite these potential barriers, you know, maybe they lived the life the way they wanted to, right? And you can't take away the culture you're brought up into. But I think they were, you know, our grandmothers were pretty amazing women, as well as I've known them. But yeah, what I would say with our daughter, I think on the one hand, there's so much awesome opportunity. I'm just loving how fierce the girls can be on the sports field. I love how dynamic and outspoken they can be in the classroom. I love the energy when they're together, and, you know, that they are embracing the fashion and the makeup, and yet they're, you know, in sweatpants, you know, throwing hoops in the yard, and, you know, rolling around in the dirt with the dog, and, you know, being able to be studious and, you know, cultivate I'm losing that word a lot, but like really get into their music and their passions, and just being curious, fun-loving kids. I think the hard part about that, as they get older and things get more demanding and they need to hone their craft a little bit, juggling all the things is hard. It's stressful. I can say it's very stressful. I'm a high-strung type A person, and I already see that in her. And I'm sure it's rampant with a lot of her friends. And so there's high expectations. I think girls mature faster, and they carry those expectations for a long time. And despite the shift in, you know, how the media displays expectations for what women should look like and what they should dress like and how they should act, that's still part of our society. And that can be difficult to tampen down and move forward and just be your own damn self. And I think that's also true with the juggling it all. You know, you're a female. You have this maternal instinct very likely in you. And if you want to one day have a family, you can't just ignore the opportunity to have a family. I would say in a sort of typical, more safe, intimate relationship, right? And doing it as a solo parent is really hard. You know, I've seen that with a lot of mothers and fathers, and so I think it's just a lot for them to be able to handle. I don't know if it will feel different than it is now, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I worry a little bit that you know, like right now, she's in 8th grade, and as I've said before, like, you know, I love him. I know him because I was one. 8th grade boys are like the dumbest form of life on earth. I'm sorry. Like, and you know, in some of them, you just like, you love them and you're like, dude, no, that's not, just stop. Like,
don't do it.
And then others, you want to throttle them, and they sort of slowly start to go up from there. But there's like this like crash from 6th grade to 8th grade, and then they start to come out of it.
When do you think you mature to the point where you're at now? Because it seems to be there's like a blip.
42.
No, seriously, because I think you were fairly mature when I met you, but you've matured since then considerably. But I don't know that I've matured greatly from my 20s.
Of course you have. That's a ridiculous statement.
No, I have matured in that I'm, you know, a grown-ass adult who can, you know, balance a budget and follow through with expectations.
We'll save the how mature was Betsy really in her 20s stories for another episode. I'll just say that, you know, there is a, like, from a intellectual capacity and a maturity standpoint, all of the 8th grade girls are just dunking on the 8th grade boys right now. And I do think that because of, I think we have some issues as a society with how we raise boys and how we model manhood.
It's tough because we have one system they need to go through, and I think the boys need a different
the school
sort of
system is not set up for them. And I heard a stat this week, and I didn't look it up, so take this with a grain of salt. But it was something like 60% of college grads are females. I mean, that is not a small, we talked about 51-49, right?
Yeah.
60-40 that's a different divide. That's a big divide, right? And, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't have to go to college to be successful in life, right? No. But it does represent a rather significant trend. And, this is what all the conservatives are freaking out about. And they're not, I think they're misplacing their bets, and they're focused on the wrong things, but they're not wrong to be concerned about it. I think that there's actually concern around if you're churning out all these amazing young women. I think this is a problem that they talk about this being a problem in Korea, where all these women are coming out of college and they're smart and they're going to have careers. They're smart, they're beautiful, they're successful. They're taking good care of themselves, and they are not interested in the men because a lot of the men
are getting in the way,
keeping up with them. So it actually it becomes a little bit of a challenge, I think, if you have this bifurcation and, these women are going to come around, they're going to be like, where are the good men?
Or maybe they're just going to date the older men. The more mature ones. Well, you know what they say, or at least Dua Lipa, that boys will be boys and girls will be women.
Nice.
I mean, that rings true.
Yeah. Okay. Dua Lipa making it into the podcast. Cool. Well, I don't have any great philosopher quotes to share.
I mean, she's not a philosopher. You know that.
Disagree. You don't need to have a degree to be a philosopher.
Okay, then I'm a philosopher.
Sure. Okay. Well, good stuff. So, what are you still chewing on?
I guess what I'm still chewing on is that, women have come a long way, and I feel proud to be a woman, but
I'm glad you're a woman.
Thank you. Well, for selfish reasons, I'm sure, right? Yeah. There for those who aren't watching, there was a big shrug.
I don't know what am I supposed to say about that? But I would still like you if you were a man. It would just be a different kind of like.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Anyway, I was going to reference something we were talking about a little while back. I think being a woman, if I were to give a comparable example for someone in your shoes, you think about your generation who grew up in rural northern Maine and French Canada, and were immigrants and bootstrapping, and were probably, less privileged, but ostracized from their people and pushed out. And, you saw and have stories of people really, needing to pave their way and work hard and prove themselves and start again over and over again, right? And feel like second-class citizens and work hard to prove otherwise. And I feel like there's a little bit of a generational feeling like that for me, but I'm sure it's true for a lot of women. And so I think what I'm still chewing on is this need to always prove myself, to work hard, to reconcile what success really means to myself and how is that perceived by the world. Is that truly what I want, or am I setting a standard that's less than because that's the construct or what has been socialized for me to be normal? Or how do I push that and, bridge the gap a little bit more? And, I think about it as I think, another element to that, and it brings it back to why I'm, super proud of girls these days, like our daughter, who is out there kicking ass on the field and really pushing herself in the classroom and being inspiring by creating amazing, strong friendships, is that she's, every day is pushing herself, and there's lots of meltdowns, and she's like moves through it. And I think as women, we do that too. I'm out on the sports field and I'm like, I'm going to push myself. And that was tough. Like I near collapsed, or I did fall, but I got right back up and feeling okay. That, yes, I can push myself. I can take those risks. And I'm the only one who's going to create a boundary for myself. So
I like that. You're the only one who's going to create a boundary for yourself. I like that. Cool.
Yeah.
And what's relatively ordinary about this?
I think what's relatively ordinary is that, half the population is female, and, we just...
A little more than half.
A little more than half. And we just...
51-49.
We just live our lives, and it's on many levels, it's an individualized experience, but I think there's a lot of unity and, some teamwork going on there, some good juju and love and support. And so that feels ordinary, but in a good way. I'm glad that's ordinary. It's powerful because it's ordinary. Women rule the world. Woo!
Feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, they don't rule the world. It's a yin and a yang. It's a balance.
Oh yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, but I got you. I get where I get where you're coming from, and I admire your pride.
Thanks.
So cool. Well, great conversation. I think we can wrap there.
Sounds good.
Good stuff.
All right.
Thanks.
Rockstar.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.